All right. Very good evening, everyone. Sorry for the slight delay. We had a technical issue at our end. We are all set to start. So I think, firstly, I want to say great that you all have joined in because that shows that you all have the intent to learn. You all have, because you could be doing something else right now, but you're here to learn about what's happening in the future of technology and what implication does that have on you today, right? I have someone special today. We have Anshuman here. Uh, so, quick journey of Anshuman is that uh, he's from Lucknow, by the way, but he went to Triple IT Hyderabad, dropped out of IITs to actually go to Triple IT Hyderabad. There, he was very active in competitive programming, and because of that, he participated and represented India in the Olympics of coding called ICPC, and therefore got a chance to got an offer from both Google and Facebook. Took the more tougher choice and joined Facebook at that time. Now, being one of the early employees, gave him the chance to work directly with Mark Zuckerberg. Uh, and I don't know if some of you all saw Mark Zuckerberg's video, Independence Day video recently, but yeah, so the same guy Anshuman had worked with him, and uh, would love to hear his experiences also in a bit on that. And yeah, basically doing that for 4 5 years, he realized there's a massive problem in India in terms of education. He's come back. It's been 10 years that he's come back, and for the last 10 years, he's been trying to make a difference. Uh, the latest being Scalar School of Technology, where we are building a really high quality next generation college, which we call the Ivy League for computer science education in India. So, Anshuman, welcome to the session.
Well, thank you for having me here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So lots to discuss, lots to talk. I can see the excitement in the comments. So welcome everyone from all the parts of India. I can see people from Nagpur, Surat, Rajasthan, some people from small towns, large cities. So we'll answer a lot of your questions also in a bit. So Anshuman, first let me start with you. Right, like I just gave a brief overview of your journey. Uh, I want to ask you this question first. Like, didn't get a chance to ask you directly. Uh, how is it like working with Mark Zuckerberg directly, and what all are the cool things that you did at Facebook?
Yeah, I mean, so I joined Facebook when I was right out of college. And when you're right out of college, you're in a new country. It's sort of overwhelming because look, I mean, all your life you're around people who can speak your language. You understand their cultural context. You're now in a new culture, new country, so you're adopting to that too. Um, but what was very surprising for me is that even then, Mark Zuckerberg was a known personality, but he was very down to earth. So I remember the first day I joined, he had actually walked up to my desk and introduced himself. That hey, I'm Mark Zuckerberg, and welcome to
For
the
real?
club.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
and then like Facebook, while small, but like was still a decently large team because I mean, Facebook had a total of roughly 500 odd employees, right? Um, so that felt very, very great that like there is a somebody of that person. In fact, like same day, we would actually we had free food inside Facebook, so people would do dinner, lunch, etc., all inside Facebook. So we had sat down for dinner, and he came and joined us on our desk.
Hmm.
And we had finished the dinner, so we left. There was another person in our group who was also from India, and he got so awkward that he also left with his food the moment Mark sat down there. So I mean, that was the kind of place.
And what are the kind of cool projects that you built eventually over these 4 5 years? Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So I initially joined as part of the Facebook Photos team. Think of it as the current Instagram that exists. While Instagram was a new acquisition, but like we were already working on Facebook. Facebook Photos was the biggest product. So I started building features like how do you bulk upload photos, how do you create albums. So some of those features I was working on. Post that, it was, I mean, one very interesting thing had happened at Facebook. So the initial like idea at Facebook was that social media and messaging have to be different. That was one school of thought, that you cannot have chat and messages inside a social media website.
Hmm.
Um, and there was one school of thought which was against it. that they wanted chat and messages inside. So we used to have these hackathons where during the night you would code and you will build something. So somebody actually built out a chat throughout the night and deployed it on live Facebook.
Oh,
Interestingly, the first day itself, there were roughly 2 to 3 billion messages being that were sent on that chat that was deployed just a night before. And it was like, I mean, it was obviously like not a very polished chat. Even then, like 2 to 3 billion chats were being sent, which was already bigger
I
than.
can't imagine like the feeling that the engineer who built that would have, that
Exactly. And
the
that was
code
the
I've
cool
written.
thing about hackathon. Right? You can build anything and then like you show with proof.
Hmm, hmm.
Um, Interestingly, that 2 to 3 billion number was bigger than there used to be GChat then. Google Chat was called GChat, and the people would be using Google Chat. That was bigger than the volume that Google Chat would see. And Google Chat was the biggest product back then. So the moment that happened, it was very clear that yes, we have to go and build out a chat and messaging product. And a new team was created, and I happened to join that team. And we built out this entire chat, messages, messenger later on from scratch. In
Hmm.
fact, by that time I had grown within the company as well, so I got to lead the team that was building Facebook Messenger. We had
Oh,
acquired another company called Beluga, and then we took that product and we made it down into Messenger. So that was my journey there, and then like later on I moved to Facebook London because Facebook was thinking of starting their first engineering international office outside of US, which was London. And somebody had to make sure that, I mean, there was a team, not I wasn't alone, but like somebody had to make sure that we were hiring the right kind of people, we were building the right culture. And then that's how Facebook London came into existence. Today,
how
it's,
how old were you when you were setting up the Facebook London office?
I was, um, so this is 2013. I was 24, 25 years old when I was doing that.
Man, I think most engineers in India at 20 or 25 are struggling or probably giving some government exams. So, kudos to you on that journey, Anshuman. Um, and I think the sense that I get, and for the audience, the sense that you should get from this is that Anshuman has worked not just in India, studied in good colleges in India, gone abroad, worked in Silicon Valley, has built huge teams. Now, just to give you context, like if you have to build out the Facebook London office to hire X number of people, you need to interview 30X number of people. And that just by interviewing and talking to so many people, what skill set is actually needed. And this. So, Anshuman, could you talk about your transition from there to today, where you've built out this 6,000 crore company called Scalar? And it's not just about the valuation, right? It's about the impact that Scalar has gone on to create by being the largest tech education company in India, placing thousands of people, more people into Amazon than all IITs combined, and all of that, right? Uh, Maybe in a minute, if you can just talk about that.
No, actually, it started as a personal effort. We started because I come from a family of engineers, and I was trying to build it for myself. Like, how do you build high quality tech education? And slowly, it became very clear that becoming a high quality tech engineer is actually every Indian's dream. And in a way, the kind of journey that I had, if I could replicate that to a lot of other Indians who could eventually build high quality, world class product, then that would have massive ripple effects.
Hmm.
Um, Let me elaborate what I mean by that, right? So there is a concept of something called a zero sum game. Um, Now, I'm sure like a lot of you might not know what a zero sum game is, but basically, zero sum game is, let's say, for example, when you play sports, when you play football, if one team wins, then the other has to lose, which is zero sum. Um, when it comes to tech and creating companies or creating large products, it's not a zero sum game. Every other company, that new company that gets created, which is doing something new, it creates more jobs, it creates more success. So there is more success in the world if there are more people building, if there are more people who are successful. So it became very clear that we had that opportunity because tech is global. You can be in India and you can be building for people who are in the US or who are in Brazil or who are in Europe. So it became very clear that today what we have most of is people. The biggest superpower that India has is a lot of people. If we can nurture the talent, make it really, really good, we will start building for the world. And that's why that's why I've stuck to this mission, and I plan to stick stick to this mission for the rest of my life as well, to create a lot of great engineers out of this country.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so now we are doing Scalar School of Technology. It's been 2 years almost now, where we started from day one, from thinking about it to now. Uh, in this session, I mean, I want the audience to understand what the gaps are, right, and what we are trying to fill, and how they should be taking decisions about their colleges and careers. That's one part of it, which is a more generic part of it. Now, once we address that, then let's go on to, like, a lot of people, for example, are asking, sir, tell me about AI, right? Uh, in the event, we mentioned blockchain, machine learning. There are a lot of buzzwords out there, right? And today, like, there's a BTech in every PMC possible. BTech in cloud computing and AI, BTech in XYZ and ABC, right? So it gets very confusing for someone who's in class 12. So let's address this one by one. First, let's talk about what's the gap that we are trying to solve at SST. And then let's talk about the specializations and how one should really think about it.
Sure. Manmeet, just before I get into that, I see a lot of comments which are asking that we should speak in Hindi. Now, I just want to address that for 2 minutes. Look, folks, we can speak in Hindi, but the problem is the entirety of India does not speak Hindi. Uh, People come from different regions and they are comfortable with different languages. So, hence, it is important to speak a language that everybody is comfortable with, and that happens to be English. In fact, with time, you will realize that English is a language that ties the entirety of the country together. So one of the skills you would all need to also develop is how do you get better at understanding English, because whichever job you do later on, you will have colleagues who come from all over India or all over world, and you'll have to talk to them in English. You'll have to understand them in English, right? So that's why we are doing this session in English. I'm very sorry if some of you don't understand English properly, but like just making sure we're catering to everyone. Now let me get to the part which is what is happening with computer science or coding in general. Uh, Again, I'm very sure all of you would have now seen, let's say, Chat GPT or Cloud or a bunch of other things that are happening in the space of AI and machine learning. Now, I'll tell you what is happening because of that. Look, I mean, at the core of computer science is a computer, and the computer basically makes the job of humans easier. Like the earliest form of computers were calculators, right? You would do your mathematics on your computer, right? Then came the second phase where you would ask the computer to build products, right? Now you have like Flipkart or Amazon, where you can buy stuff, you can make payments, you have UPI. All of that started happening via computer science, right? So however, computer science till date only did things which where the steps are very well defined. Now what is happening is the computer is becoming intelligent, so it is now starting to do what humans can also do, and which means that computers are going to automate a lot of jobs in the future, which is a good and bad thing both. And then let me elaborate, right? Let's take example of one profession. Let's say we take law. Now in law, you have lawyers that you see in movies, right? They go and fight in the court. But behind the lawyers, there is a big team of paralegals who would do research and tell, hey, look, for this case, here are the clauses in the constitution or in the law book which are relevant. Here are the precedences or examples we can take from the previous cases that have happened in the High Court or Supreme Court. So they do all of the research work which are relevant to this case. Now, one of the things that is happening because of AI and ML is now that computers are intelligent, you don't need to have paralegal. There are companies being built right now that are automating the entire paralegal work. A computer is now doing that more reliably for you and saying that for this case, here are example cases, here are potential things you should look for, and here are potential arguments you can make. There is always going to be some amount of human intelligence required because there is a lot of creativity even in winning a case. It's not that straightforward. But the research work, the paralegal, all of that can get automated now. And that is going to happen in every sector. Law is just one example that I took, but in every sector, there is going to be automations using computer science. In fact, let me take example from engineering. A lot of people say that, Anshuman, you keep talking about computer science, but there are other forms of engineering. Absolutely, there are. And they're important. Look, civil engineering is important, mechanical engineering is important. But another thing that is happening, again, because machines are becoming intelligent, is that a large part of mechanical engineering or civil engineering will be done by machines. In fact, there will be companies that will create these kind of machines and they will become very valuable. So the basis, the foundation is going to be computer science in the future. And hence it is important, to be honest, like just like today, mathematics is a basic skill. You need to know mathematics. Very similarly, computer science is going to become a basic foundational skill for surviving in the future. I said it's a good and bad thing. Jobs are getting automated. Yes. It's a bad thing because a lot of jobs are going to go away. But at the same time, it is a good thing because the nature of jobs is going to change. They're going to be smarter jobs. I mean, you will be required to apply your knowledge of computer science to create these kind of systems. That is the new kind of job that is going to get created. And that is why computer science is the foundation or the building block that all of you need to become better at.
Hmm. Hmm. Got it. Maybe since I'm seeing this, right, like how relevant will computer science and software engineering be in 4 years? Can we talk about that in the same thought?
Yeah, I mean, so same thing, right? Like in a way, what I'm talking about, Manmeet, is what is going to happen over the course of next 10 years, 20 years. Machines are going to become more and more intelligent. And you would need people who would be able to get the machines to do what you want.
Hmm.
So hence the living in a world where you say that I hate machines, or I do not want to work with these machines, or I'm willing to survive without knowing about how to operate these machines, is actually not a possibility. It's not going to be a possibility 4 years from now. So, and if you want proof of that, you could go and look into what the governments of first world nations or developed nations are doing. They're including computer science right in school and making it a mandatory part of your curriculum because they know this is exactly what is going to happen.
Yeah.
And that is why, I mean, as I said before, right? What does India have a lot of? India has a lot of people. We have a lot of energy and we have a lot of youth. We have a lot of people. If we don't learn what is required in the future for the world, we will be left behind. It is important,
Hmm.
hence, for all of you to become better at things that matter in the future.
Interesting. Actually, let me show everyone something interesting, right? Like, does everyone here know what is the meaning of a transistor? Um, Maybe Anshuman, if you can just explain to them like what's a transistor in a like very layman kind of a way.
Right. I mean, so at the end of the day, let's say you have a machine, right? And machines do computing. I said like the earliest form of machines were calculators. How do those calculations happen? Inside your machine doesn't know numbers. So all it knows is that the presence or absence of a current. That is what a machine is able to recognize. You have these circuits. All of you might have studied electrical engineering. You have these circuits, and you know the presence or absence of a current, which means the machine only knows ones and zeros. Now you need a lot of ones and zeros to be able to do computation. Now, where do you store a lot of these presence or absence of current, and like how do you then make them interact with each other? All of that is then done on these chips and transistors.
And what that means is that uh, today, like the more the number of transistors on your device, let's say your mobile phone or the laptop, whatever you're attending this with, right? Uh, the more powerful it is. Okay. Now I'm just sharing the Wikipedia page for transistors. You can also check this out, and I want to show you something interesting. Now, if I look at a processor, right? Typically, like when we were in college, let's say 2010, uh, at that time also i7 had already come out, and like you can see here, an i7 had 1.17 billion chips on it. Now, at that time also, when I used to imagine, like in this smaller thing, 1.17 billion chips ko fit karna is not easy at all. Okay, and I used to be mind blown then. But now, if I go and come to 2024, 2023, the latest chips, and in fact, like if you look at the Apple chips, uh, that 1.1 has become 134 billion. Okay, now this is just microprocessor. There is something called GPUs. Okay, now I don't know if some of you all are in gaming and have been following. Like when we were younger, there was Nvidia ka ek gaming card aata tha, which used to be the thing to have. Like if you plug that in your PC, then FIFA will work or cricket will work, right? Now, what has happened is that those GPUs, I mean, the times that I'm talking about where they were used for gamings are here. At that time, they used to have these about 7 billion kind of transistors, right? If you see Nvidia. Now, if you see the Blackwell chip, I don't know if some of you all are following this, that has got 208 billion transistors on a chip. Now, what's the significance of these numbers? Why am I even saying this? Now, everyone knows ChatGPT, right? Everyone knows ChatGPT. Now, if I told you that in 2017, this NVIDIA chip that you see here, the founder and CEO of NVIDIA literally hand delivered some of these chips to OpenAI, to Sam Altman, OpenAI, all the entire team there. And because of those chips, they were able to bring about this generative AI revolution. And these chips, these transistors going from 1 billion to 200 billion in just 15 years is magic. Like it's magical. And because of this, you are seeing all of these amazing innovations happen, right? In the same light, I mean, I just want to show you not something which is going to happen in the future, but this is something we were also exploring for Scalar School of Technology. Like, how do we teach some of these things? Because today it's yeah, this is just loading. I'm just trying to show you a website. Anjuman, is my screen still visible?
Yeah, the screen is visible with the Wikipedia page.
With the Wikipedia page. Let me just try. I'm opening the Unitree website, Anjuman, where in fact it's a bit slow for me. Anjuman, do you mind opening that and taking them through the RoboDogs and the G1 Edu, which has just come out? It's not a thing of the future; it's happening right now.
Yeah, maybe if you can show me share with me the link, I can share that.
Sure. I have just slacked this to you. Were you able to locate it?
Yes, I'm just sharing my screen. Give me 1 second. Manmeet, are you able to see my screen now?
Yes, Anshuman, this is visible.
Okay, so I'll let you continue. I'll just scroll whenever you tell me to scroll.
Right. So what you see on your screen is a combination of cutting edge robotics and AI. Now, this is a company based out of China, which has, in all honesty, like followed the paths of this companies like Boston Dynamics and have got the same robots to the market at like a much cheaper price. Now, it's not very difficult for, let's say, a military to take a dog like this and put like guns on it and make it into like a fighting robot. Train it on artificial intelligence and make it a fighting robot. Okay. There is talk of, let's say, Anshuman, if you can go to the human tab. Yeah, the G1 on the left side. Yeah, this is a robot which launched about 2 months back. Now this is a fully functional. Like if you see some of what you see on the screen is not like AI generated video or something. This is real, right? And imagine an army of these replacing the regular workers inside a factory. Okay. I mean, the reason to share all of this, starting from transistors to what you see on the screen, is to tell you that there is a huge opportunity. Like they say, how the internet was in the 1990s, AI is on the cusp of that today. And therefore, if you play it right, like there are people who are going to get affected, but there are people who are going to be part making the change in the world. So if you want to be part of that, the fundamental skill that you need to learn, there is nothing called, like there's no fundamental skill called AI. There is a fundamental skill called computer science, on top of which there are certain subjects that you need to learn on AI. Maybe Anshuman, you can clarify on that, right? Like a lot of people feel that, hey, I don't want to do computer science, I want to do AI, which does not make any sense. So
Yeah. So basically, it is like saying, I mean, all of you have gone through college, and you would have studied maths, right? Algebra, maths, trigonometry. Um, and to be honest, like this math becomes the baseline for studying physics. I can't do very complex calculations in physics. I can't, um, let's just solve thermodynamics problems, etc., unless I have understanding of basic of mathematics. So computer science is like that foundation that unless you understand that deeply, whatever you learn about these buzzwords, be it blockchain, be it AI/ML, you'll not have deep understanding of it. You'll just know how to use the tools, but you'll not know how to, let's say, modify these tools or make these tools better. For example, a very common equivalence is that in the field of mechanical engineering, you have these mechanics. Today, if your fan is not working, or if let's say the light is not working, you'd go to a mechanic, and the mechanic would go and fix it for you, because the mechanic knows how to use a particular bulb or a particular fan. However, at the same time, there are these mechanical engineers, or there are these engineers who are making these fans better and better with time. They're optimizing these fans so the fans consume lesser electricity. They become more power efficient. They have lesser chances of failure. They survive or they're durable for a longer duration. So obviously, the engineer who is making these fans better and better with time would get paid a lot more, and would be able to learn newer tech faster than, let's say, the mechanic who lives next door and is able to come and fix your fan of a particular model. So you don't want to be the mechanic, you want to be this engineer who is building these systems or optimizing these systems, or at least understands at depth how these systems work. Computer science helps you do that. So you will find a lot of these small courses here and there, which will help you get started on AI, ML, etc. But look, I mean, depth matters, foundations matter, and that is something which is common to most people today who are building at OpenAI, or are building, let's say, blockchain. They have, I mean, if you look at their background, they started as a proper computer science engineer, proper software engineer, and that's why they're able to do it. Manmeet, I think you're on mute.
sorry, I was saying I hope people know about OpenAI. OpenAI are the people behind ChatGPT, right? And like Anshuman said, they were computer science engineers first, who then sort of specialized into AI. Anshuman, I want to ask you this, that this understanding that you just gave, right? How are you using that at SST to build the curriculum, right? And how is that curriculum structured? And how does that enable someone to become like a master in AI by the end of the course?
Yeah. I mean, so as I said, like there are two, three parts of how future engineers are going to mold. Right. One is, obviously, engineers need to have great foundational skills. So we make sure we don't compromise on foundational skills at SST. However, the problem with foundational skills is, like, when you're just teaching theory, people forget theory. I'm very sure, like, all of you might have studied some concepts here and there in class 8, class 9, class 10th, which you might not remember. To be honest, a lot of you have studied about very deep calculus in class 11th and 12th, and then maybe if I ask you about the same calculus problem 3 years from now, you'll probably not be able to solve. Um, so the thing is, like, all of these foundations, you remember them, or you retain them if you also get to apply those to do something. So hence The curriculum is broken down into three phases. There is phase one, where we help you build very strong fundamentals. At the same time, however, we ask you to build these impressive projects, which helps you to apply these fundamentals. In fact, one of the things that we also do is that we invite some of the founders who might be building good companies, deep tech companies, to come and work out of the campus so that you can work with them and learn with them as you're learning on the side. So that happens in phase one. Then the phase two is where we actually ask you to apply and build actually complex products in the real world. This is a 1 year phase. It could be through an external internship. It could be through a research project. There are multiple ways of just, however, getting industry exposure for a year so that when you graduate, you have this 1 year experience with you. The idea here is, how do we expose you to how things work in the real world, and you get to do things that are happening and they matter in the real world as of today. And then there's a phase three, which is the specialization phase. Now you are great on fundamentals. You've already done some bit of specialization. I mean, you know some bit of AI/ML, you know some bit of blockchain, you may know some bit of cybersecurity, etc. Now you go deep into one of that. For example, somebody who would go deep into AI/ML would not just know how to use OpenAI ChatGPT, but would actually understand what are transformers. Transformers is basically what all GPT models or all LLM models are built on top of. For example, there are fields like computer vision, right? So when you build a self-driving car, there is constant input that you're getting of a video, and like the machine has to identify objects, trucks, to be able to stay in the lane and apply brakes if there is an object in front. That is all computer vision. So how do you get really good at computer vision? Or there is natural language processing, where I am able to recognize context if you give me a sentence or if you give me random text. Right? For example, all of you use WhatsApp. On WhatsApp, when you start typing, WhatsApp starts suggesting what you might want to type next. All of that is NLP. And then there is machine learning, supervised, unsupervised machine learning, which is where you show a machine bunch of things which gets the machine to learn, and then then the machine does the job for you, see based on the patterns that it has already seen. For example, on Netflix would recommend you movies that you might like, or TV shows that you might like. Or when you use YouTube, right? You're watching a video, the next video or the recommended video show you on the side. So that is all being done by machines. So that is all machine learning. Recommendation algorithms comes from machine learning, right? So all of that you then get into the depth of in the phase three. If you, for example, choose AI/ML. If you choose algo trading, then you go and specialize as an algo trader. If you choose depths of software engineering, then you learn about large scale system, and then how do, let's say, senior engineers, SD2s and SD3s in the system operate, and then what makes for those people, right? So you'll get to do all of, you'll get to choose from these specializations, and then you'll get to go deep into one of these specializations in the phase three.
Got it. So Anshuman, what I'm just summarizing, I think what you're saying is that first get your fundamentals right. Like, so people who are asking that, hey, how do I start? So I think the answer there, in fact, like the PDF that I had just shared is available on our website. You can go to the curriculum. And maybe the team can share the link of our website, and then you can go to the curriculum. That PDF actually is a very good roadmap, right? Like, if you just are able to follow that somehow, even if you come to SST, obviously, like, you'll follow that. But even if you don't come to SST, I think you can follow that, and that's a very good roadmap of building fundamentals. So that's what you're saying. First, build fundamentals, try and get industry experience, understand yourself, what do you really like, and then go and choose your specialization. Now, if that is the ideal way to do it, why are there so many colleges out there who are doing like a BTech in data science, BTech in ML, BTech in AI, BTech in cybersecurity, BTech in cloud, BTech in blockchain, right? So many different options. So why is that really happening today? I want an honest answer from you.
I don't want to give an honest answer because it will become very controversial. Look, however, colleges that work inside regulation, they need to have, they need to follow certain guidelines for the number of seats that they offer. With different branches, different specialization, they're able to increase the number of seats that they might want for computer science. But in reality, in reality, whether it is BTech in CS with AI or BTech in CS with data science, all of them have a very, very large part which is common. And maybe then there are a few subjects that you take which help you specialize there a little more. That is the crux of every single specialization in CS, that there is a very large part which is common to everyone, and then there are these small subjects that you take which helps you specialize. And to be honest, like, it's very hard for you to decide on day zero what is it that you want to specialize in. To be honest, like, if I'm just getting started with coding, very hard for me to decide whether I want to specialize in AI, or whether I want to specialize in blockchain or data science. That's actually unfair. So the right structure is, you start learning CS, you start exploring, you figure out what your passion or where your passion lies. And those are the elective subjects in some ways that you do to get more depth into a particular specialization. Um, the reason that colleges do it is different, and I would probably not want to go deeper into that right away.
Uh, I mean, like, I can give a gist of it, Anshuman, so that the audience is aware of what is really happening, right? So, they go today now. BTech is broken. Out of 100 people who do BTech, 80 don't get any jobs. Of the 20 who do, 80% of them actually get jobs in IT. Okay, चाहे आप mechanical पढ़ लो, civil पढ़ लो, etc., etc. Most people today are going into IT jobs. Now, what that is doing for colleges is that, let's say there are traditional branches like civil, etc. They are struggling, and therefore they are sort of shutting them down and trying to build more capacity in computer science. Now, you can't have, let's say, as Anshuman said, regulation will allow you to have only these many seats in computer science. So what do? You create a variant, computer science with AI. Now, if you actually look at the syllabus, if there are 40 subjects, 38 will be common. 2 or 3 or maybe like 4 or 5 at max will be different. And that's the only differentiator. So maybe, Anshuman, I think for the audience, since a lot of them wouldn't know also, I think AI we spoke about in length, right? Can you talk about things like cyber security? I think this is also something a lot of people are interested in. I'm reading it on the this thing also. And also, sorry, before you answer that, a lot of people are asking the roadmap, etc. So our team has shared a link, and they have also pinned it. You can take it from there. And second, our YouTube channel has a lot of content on how to get started, right? How to get started with, how to understand computer science options, how to get started with coding. Most of the common questions I'm seeing on chat is available uh, on our YouTube. So, Anshuman, over to you. If you can explain cybersecurity hota kya hai and what's the future of that?
Sure. But before that, I think somebody was also asking, is SST online? Look, SST is not online. It's a fully residential program. It's like any other college. You come and do it. It's just very differentiated in how it is executed. But it's fully residential. You have to come to the campus and you have to study from the campus. Coming on cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is basically stuff that you see in movies. you have these hackers who would come and try to hack into websites or portals and or into somebody else's machines. And cybersecurity is the field where you are fighting against these hackers to make your website or your machine very, very secure so that no other hacker can get into it. And it's important because whenever hackers get access to large scale machines, then they can actually, in a way, it's like blackmailing, right? Like, once I get control of it's like hijacking. If I hijack a plane, then I can demand any money. Very similarly, if I get access of all information of a company, or I have access to all the machines inside a company, then I can put ridiculous demands. So, for example, there was this case where Cognizant was completely hacked, and they had to pay in billions of dollars to actually get rid of those hackers. So that's why cybersecurity becomes important, that your information is safe, the website is secured, the company is secured. Unfortunately, like, not a lot of very high quality of work in cybersecurity is happening out of India right now. Hopefully that will change with time. However, there are certain companies being created in the cybersecurity domain which are generating a lot of value. Um, but just like any other field, cybersecurity also relies on you being a good computer scientist first. There are two kind of hackers. One, they are aware of a lot of tools. They basically run all the tools and spray and pray that something will work and something will hack the website. And then there are hackers or engineers who understand how things work internally, so they are able to understand what the website is doing, where could a vulnerability come from. And to be honest, like, cybersecurity or hackers need to be better than any other computer scientist, because the kind of vulnerabilities that they are able to exploit requires very, very, very in-depth knowledge of computer science. Exactly how things are working inside the machine, they need to be aware of that. So very interesting field. It's basically like being a police in the virtual world. So just like in the physical world you have police, very similarly you will have ethical hackers or people who prevent hacking attacks in the computer science world.
Clear. So you're saying there is a lot of scope. It's a niche. However, don't take that call now. Like, get your fundamentals right. Once you get that right, then you can definitely go deeper and do better in cybersecurity.
Exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
so that answers the cybersecurity question. What about blockchain?
Yeah, I mean, so firstly, I tell you like what blockchain is, and then maybe I'll delve deeper into where it is finding its application. So blockchain is, in a way, imagine that imagine that in a way I'm able to reliably track what has happened with either money or something else. I have the entire history, and it's a reliable history. I know that like nobody can fake that history. Um, it is sort of that. Now, to be honest, like blockchain is nothing new. Like a concept where, let's say, you have across multiple people a chain of events that has been there. Um, I mean, from the inception of computer science, the reason why blockchain has become so popular is because blockchain found a application in the field of currency. So typically, you would, when you think of money, you think of rupees or you think of dollars. Um, Bitcoin came into existence roughly around 2009, and with Bitcoin, sorry, just quick check. Am I still audible? Okay, yeah. So with Bitcoin, I mean, a lot of money transactions started happening on top of Bitcoin, and like other kind of currencies which are based on blockchain, they came into existence. So blockchain is important for the field of finance because in a way, it is inflation free, so the money value doesn't decrease, and that's the promise of blockchain. Sorry, Bitcoin. It is there are no country level boundaries in Bitcoin as of today, so you can actually transact across nations very easily. And that is why it is finding or popularity in certain circles. So today, for example, Bitcoin itself is valued at close to $100 billion, which is massive. So because of that, currency transactions happen and blockchain has found use.
So let's say that I understand that the blockchain, a lot of applications, and probably I can build a career in it, right? Now, how do I even go about it, right? Like, what are the things that I should be knowing about?
Again, as I said, like, look, blockchain is also based on a bunch of things that exist in computer science. Right? Like, for example, how do you, let's say, so for example, in distributed systems as well, there is a problem of keeping things consistent. If you have an information stored on multiple machines, how do you keep them consistent? Very similar thing happens here, because when I'm adding another information in a blockchain, then I want to make sure enough people are acknowledging so that that information is present with everybody. Um, so blockchain is based on computer science. So I mean, but my advice would be first start with computer science, learn the nitty-gritties of that, and then I mean, learning blockchain is not going to be hard. Even today, if you see people who are doing blockchain are mostly computer science engineers, people who were doing computer science before. Um, so Once you've done that, then you start learning Rust, you start understanding how blockchain works, and then you start to maybe explore certain other applications that have been built on blockchain to see what kind of practices do they follow, and then you start building on your own.
Okay, sounds good. One more option that I want to discuss is data science. Right, there's a lot of hype around it. In fact, I think this one has the maximum number of specializations and courses also. Right, data is the new oil, etc. So over to you. If I'm a class 12 student, I know that data science is going to do well. A lot of data in the world. How do I go about building a career in it?
I think amongst all of these, data science is the only piece which probably might not have a very high overlap with computer science. So before data science happened, I mean, there were these data analysts or business analysts, right? Which means they would look at data manually and then they would try to derive business decisions from it. What I mean by that is, for example, all of you might watch cricket, right? Now, when you look at data, you would figure out, oh, wait, Jadeja is very good against, let's say, fast bowlers, but struggles, and like is very good against, let's say, leg spinners, but struggles against off spinners. Now, if I get that insight, looking at like what all has happened, his averages and a bunch of other things, then I know that whenever Jadeja comes to bat, let me get an off spinner to bowl, because then I have a higher chance of getting him out. These are the kind of decisions that typically a data analyst or a business analyst is driving by looking at all historical information. And the example that I took was trivial, but like imagine this happening at a much higher complexity in a company. Now, the next step in that direction was that, look, just figuring out business decisions based on data, which is very clear, that might not always be the business case. I might want to actually I might want the machine to take intelligent decisions using data. Now, for example, all of you have used Amazon. Is that a fair assumption? Like you've used any e-commerce website, Amazon included. Now, one of the problems that Amazon has is that it is going to compete. It knows that it's going to compete with the Blinkits and the Swiggies at some point of time. So it has to minimize its delivery time. But if I have my warehouse, which is where I'm storing all of the stuff in Bangalore, and an order is coming from Delhi or Hyderabad, obviously I cannot be as fast as Swiggy. It's impossible for me. Now you might say, okay, fine, but then why don't you have maybe multiple data warehouses where you store a lot of stuff? That comes with cost. If I want to rent out a building in Delhi where I'm storing a lot of stuff, I'm going to have to pay rent for it. So I can rent a small place, but the more space I rent, the more money I pay. So how does Amazon bring down its delivery time? So Amazon predicts how many people are going to order a particular item. For example, looking at previous information, if Amazon can predict that in Delhi, there will be roughly 10 people ordering a MacBook Air, then Amazon does need not wait for you to order the MacBook Air. The MacBook Air that you're ordering today has already been shipped 2 days back. By the time you order, it is already in the warehouse in Delhi, and then quickly the person then takes out your laptop and goes and delivers it to you. That's how you get the same day delivery or a 1 day delivery, because there is a data scientist at Amazon predicting the number of orders of different kind of items in different cities. And that's the job of a data scientist. How do I use data to get the machine to do intelligent stuff? How do I predict? How do I recommend? For example, in Amazon as well, when you're buying an item, it shows you, by the way, people who are buying this, they also buy this. Again, a data scientist is building a lot of this insight using the historical information. So data science is basically data analysis plus, where you teach a machine to do data analysis and use that to take good business decisions.
Awesome. And Anshuman, I think a lot of people, so I'm seeing chat questions that, hey, as a fresher, can I get into AI? As a BCA, can I get into this? So maybe I'll generalize this question, right? Let's say, genuinely, if I know what I know today and I'm 18, I'm going into tech for sure, right? And like, Sahi boss, I'll be 5 steps ahead. Now, if the answer to that is that tomorrow I want to work for a company like an OpenAI, or let's say like a Microsoft, Amazon, let's say these top product companies, right? What is it that they are, and since you've hired for these companies, right? Can you break it down for me? Like, when they look for a candidate, do they look at a degree? Do they look at skills? What exactly do they look at? And how do I sort of start working on it from today?
Right. I mean, look, when it comes to tech, a lot of the skills are objective in nature. What I mean by that is that, let's say, when it comes to management, then a lot of skills are subjective. How presentable are you? Now, I might feel you're very presentable. Somebody else might feel that you're not. But with tech, it is very objective. If I want a machine to do a particular task, can you write code which does it in the most efficient fashion or not? If I ask you to build a website, can you build it very quickly or not? If I want, let's say, to automate something, can you please do that automation quickly or not? Right? You can either do it or you not do it. Right? That's the proof of work. So in tech, you'll find that in most good companies, the hiring happens based on skills. And the reason for that is, like, when I was at Facebook, right? Um, we would post a job, and within like 24 to 48 hours, we would get like 20 to 50,000 applications. And I'm telling you the smaller number. Some jobs you will get like 100,000 applications. For me to go and look at everybody's resume is impossible. For me to go and interview everybody is impossible. So hence, like, one of the things we used to rely on was, can we ask these folks to take a test where I can see proof of their skill? And that becomes my filtering criteria, rather than, let's say, what kind of degree, where are you coming from, and a bunch of other things. So with almost all big companies, it doesn't matter whether you've done a BSc or a BCA or a BTech or MSc or MTech. Nothing matters. What matters is, I'll give you certain exercises to do. What can you do on the ground today? Can you show me proof of work? If you have done a great internship, awesome. If you have built a great company, super awesome. If you have went and contributed to these impressive products and open source projects, great. If you can come and crack my exam and do so well here, awesome. For example, I got recruited into Facebook and Google not because I was a triple IT Hyderabad graduate. I got recruited because I was this very good coder who was representing India in ICPC World Finals. And that was basically my skills. I was very good at coding, and that's why all of these companies wanted, and I mean, they actually fought to come and talk to us. They were not allowed in the ICPC World Finals event. So a lot of these recruiters, they had gotten in secretly, and they caught us at the dinner, and they said, "Why don't you come and apply? Here is here is the email," and then we went and applied.
Wow, man. Skills make companies chase employees versus the other way around. That's very exciting to hear. Uh, I think I want to add like one or two things to Anshuman, what you said, and maybe this slide is a good way to share that, right? I think uh, if you look at placements, when I say placements, let's say that the ideal goal is that you want to work at these top tech companies. Like Anshuman said, profile, which is your skill set, right? Now, this is from a Scalar School of Tech deck, so maybe you see a lot of that here, where all of our students have 1 year of practical experience. They have a great GitHub profile. GitHub is like a resume for a techie, right? Like they all the projects that they've built, you can put it. It's proof of work. Like, I have done this. Okay. Uh, then because you take part in a lot of competitions like ICPC or Google Summer of Code, etc., or you take part in a lot of these projects that you build, real world projects that you build with other tech leaders, right? So therefore, your profile has to be strong. There's no two ways about it. Second is that, see, I mean, at the end of the day, if your college is not able to get some of these companies on campus for you, to unlock those doors for you, then getting it from outside is difficult. So access to those opportunities is also super important. For example, at Scalar, over the last 10 years, we've worked with 1,200 career partners from the who's who in the tech world. And we have a 100 plus recruitment team, which sort of takes care. So right now at the SST campus, we already had an Adobe come in, someone from Google come in. There's the ex-MD of Microsoft who came in. So a lot of this access needs to be there. Otherwise, it's a bit difficult to get that outside. Finally, coming to the eligibility, uh, a lot of people think that, oh, I need to have like XYZ degree. But let me actually show you something interesting. Uh, so if you look at the job listing of Google, for example, this is in India, right? This is from LinkedIn. You will see that they have written that bachelor's degree is what is needed. If you look at Amazon, what have they written? Bachelor's degree. If you look at, let's say, an Uber, what have they written? BS or a MS degree. Uh, let's say Microsoft again. So here, I think again BS or MS degree. Goldman Sachs, very similar. Oracle, Nvidia. Now these are the companies which are sought after, right? And like you can see here, they're very clear on the skills that they want. Degree wise, they don't care honestly, because today BTech is anyway not a differentiator. Like if you have a BTech degree, so a lot of people here who are asking that, hey, after BCA can I do this? After BSc can I do this? Then sure, like you can, but then you need to have the other two factors also, which is profile, and whichever college that you go to should be able to give you the access to these kind of opportunities, right? So yeah, maybe those are some guidelines for you from the both of us on how do you look forward to an awesome career like in technology. Okay, so how are we with time? We have maybe another 10-15 minutes. Uh, let's see. Anshuman, language. Which language should I learn first? Should it be C, C++, Java, Python?
Look, I mean, I'll first tell you, like, language is basically like how we are talking, right? Which is language is a way for humans to talk to machines. So, if you ask me which language should I learn Hindi, English, etc., etc. I mean, it doesn't matter. You should be able to talk to a machine. That's what is most important. And then the thing is, just like Hindi, English, they're very similar in the kind of pattern that they follow. Very similarly, programming languages are also very similar in the pattern that they follow. If you're good at one language, to be honest, you should be open to learning more languages, and it will be easy for you to learn more languages if you understand the pattern properly. So my advice, if you're a budding computer scientist, is please do not think that I'll be a C++ developer or a Java developer. Be open to learning new languages. Start with one and learn it properly, but be open to learning new languages as well. One key skill you'll need to develop is that you can adapt to any language as long as it does my job the best. Good engineers don't say that I will build this project in Java. They would say that I want to build this project in the right program, I mean, right language for this use case.
All right, all right. Thank you. One thing that I missed mentioning is that for all the people attending and staying through the end, there will be a form circulated, and once you fill that form, you will get a free course from our side, which is a course in computer science, like a beginner course. Now, this course is delivered by Pratik Narang, who's an ex Google engineer himself, very famous on Coding Minutes. If you go to buy this on Coding Minutes, it'll cost you about 1,000 rupees. But we are giving it away for free because I think you guys have proven that you're hungry to learn and have stayed back so far. So congrats on unlocking that. I think the team will be sharing that link in some time, and you can fill it up. Now, for those watching this later on, like who don't watch it live, I mean, like if you fill up the form till midnight today, you will still get it, but this won't be open tomorrow. So just clarifying on that as well. Right. Uh, Great. Anshuman, any other advice generally for class 12 students, for perhaps people who are in their first year?
Yeah, I mean, the one common change in mindset for those of you who are in class 12th and as you move on to get more exposed to real world is going to be that till date you are taught to basically stick to a curriculum and clear an exam. That is what we are trained for in our schools, right? um, how much do we score in exams? This was the syllabus. How did I do on that syllabus? The real world doesn't have a syllabus. So what one mindset change that is required as you move into fields like computer science is just curiosity, that I keep looking for things that are interesting and I just go and explore. Nobody has to push me to explore. I just go and explore, and if there are things that I might like, there are things that I might not like. But if I like something, then I get deeper into it and then I build something using that. That is how real world operates. Lot of curiosity, and a lot of willingness to explore and experiment, and not actually sticking to just a curriculum and saying that I'll do the bare minimum to pass a course. That's not going to work in the real world. You have to think like the world is going to value you for the value that you add to the world, right? Like that is how a capitalist system operates, and that is what you need to look at, like what is the value that you're adding.
And the thing that I'm most excited about, Anshuman, because of what you just said, like it's so much, it's going to happen that 22-year-olds are going to make more money, let's say, like a 35-year-old who's not skilled, because the world will value the value that you add and pay you accordingly. I mean, it happened in your case too, right? Like while you were 24, 25.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
Sorry for revealing this, but since you've already revealed it elsewhere, you made 8 crores a year, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, that is correct.
$1 million. Yeah, I think my kid wants some attention too. So, uh, uh, I think a couple of questions on the eligibility, Anshuman. Uh, for Scalar School of Technology, can you talk about that? Like I see that uh, in the chat.
But then, like some of those are there in the videos on the channel as well. So I would request all of you to check it out. They have more detailed answer. I'll give a very quick answer. In general, if you're somebody who is below, if I'm not wrong, like maybe 20 years of age or 21 year of age, then you're eligible. Um, because you also have to enroll in a parallel degree from bits planning, so hence we want to make sure that your eligibility criteria also reflect that. That means we also mandate that you have taken maths in your class 12th, and your marks in maths are 60 or above. If you fulfill those criteria, then you can apply for NSET, which is our entrance exam. And if you do well in those, then we'll take 2 interviews, and post the interviews, we'll give you an offer. So we've been very, very selective, which means you'll notice when you come on the campus that the quality of your peers is very high, which is a good thing because you learn a lot from your peers. Um, our selection rate last year was 3.5%. This time it's even lesser than that, much lesser than that.
Yeah.
So the quality of peers, I can tell you, is going to
And I'll
be.
tell you what, like anyone who's interested to know more about Scalar School of Technology, we run a Telegram based community. The team is dropping the link to that in the chat. You can join that, and basically there I'm also part of it, and you can be assured that you will get all the information that you need about Scalar School of Technology, right? And like Anshuman said, our YouTube channel has 2 playlists. Like if you're new to Scalar School of Technology, watch the Getting to Know SST playlist. I'll just share my screen as well and show you that very quickly. Is my screen visible? So if you go to our YouTube channel, this Getting to Know Scalar School of Technology has a lot of videos from Anshuman or me or other people at SST, which will give you a good idea. And then typically once someone decides to give the test, etc., there are many more videos which help you go in depth for you and your families to understand what SST is all about, and how do we ensure that our learners will be super successful, right? So just want to share that. And in any case, join the Telegram group so that we can be in touch one-on-one there as well. Yeah, I think the team has just shared that. If you can pin that also, guys, that will be super helpful. All right, I think some of these questions, scholarship, etc., this is all on our YouTube channel. Just spend some time, you will get it. Is there any drawback of BSc? Sanyam, there's a video live on our channel which went like just yesterday. Like, why does SST not do a BTech program? You can watch that video. That will give you a very good idea.
By the way, just adding, it's not just a BSc. There's a master's as well, and there is a corresponding video from Wolf University where we talk about like how that master's is also extremely valuable. It actually opens a lot of international doors for you, so you should also watch that video.
Yeah, yeah. Advice for 11th standard students. I see a lot of people are early year. So, any advice for them?
But this is where actually I'm a little torn apart, because the reality is that when you're in class 11th, you're still. I mean, this is the place where you start solving for making sure you get to a good university. And while, let's say, colleges like Scalar School of Technology, or there are certain other players which are an exception, that probably evaluate you on how you think, your critical thinking, etc. Our conventional process is still based on physics, chemistry, maths, and so forth, right? And the competition is very, very high. So, unfortunately, I cannot advise you to only explore when you're in class 11th, because you still have to solve for some of those conventional form of entrance exam, because you don't want to not have backups. Um, so till things change there, I think important to still focus on some of those aspects. But once you're in a college, then you'll have more freedom to explore and, let's say, do things that you really, really like, as long as it is still academic and not just music and dancing.
Right. Awesome. I think one last question and then we can end. I see a lot of people who've already given the test asking that, hey, why is there a round three of interview? You're on the WhatsApp groups with us, right? So you can ask us there as well and we'll answer that there. For example, Tanish, etc. But the question that I want to ask you, Anshuman, is on scholarships. I think a lot of people are wanting to understand that how does SST go about helping students pursue computer science by supporting them with scholarships?
Yeah, I mean, so even in this batch, we basically end up giving scholarship anywhere in the range of 10 to 100%, um, in certain cases where we see a spark. And typically, when we do a scholarship review, it is a combination of what have you done in the past, which means if you excelled at, let's say, if you already explored tech, maybe that's one pointer. Or if you've excelled at, let's say, an Olympiad, or if you have excelled at academics, if you have excelled at certain exams, if you've had prior scholarships in the past, all of your entirety of your profile, right? What have you done outside of academics as well as in academics? We take that into consideration. We take your performance in our own entrance exam, which is NSET exam, into consideration. We take your interview performance into consideration, and we also take gender into consideration. All of that combined, then we review. In fact, we have certain sponsors. So for example, Vijay Shekhar Sharma, who is the founder of PTM, he's a sponsor. Prasanna, who was the founder of Rippling and is now building a blockchain company, he's a sponsor. And there are a bunch of these founders who are on panel, who are our sponsors. They help us review some of these cases, and then they sign up for certain amount of sponsorship for these exceptional cases. So there you have, I mean, at the time of declaration of whether you selected or not, we also communicate, are you eligible for scholarship and what is the scholarship that we're offering?
Yeah. And maybe I just want to add that this, while Anshuman has very clearly mentioned on the scholarship side of things, even the selection side of things, while we have an entrance exam, which is followed by interviews, that's our selection process. The entrance exam is a straightforward process where there are these interesting sections of learnability, maths, and aptitude slash logic. But there is recently also something that we started called profile-based shortlisting, right? Anshuman, do you want to talk about what is profile-based shortlisting and why have we started it?
Yeah, I mean, so what we also believe is that sometimes you might have a bad day on the day of exam, and we don't want that, let's say, one bad day dictates what happens in your career. Given that I have also firsthand seen a lot of people who had a lot of potential, but maybe on the day of JE or whatever, like they did not do well and just led to a bad outcome in their entire career, which is very unfair. So one of the other things we also take into consideration, apart from your exam performance, is what does your overall profile look like? How were you in academics, right? So what was your class 10th percentage, class 12th percentage? What was your math score? We also take into consideration how did you do in JE? We take into consideration, have you done anything in tech? So in case you have been very interested in coding on tech, and if you have built something, there are some people who participate in coding competitions. They do well there, so we take that into consideration. Very similarly, there are some people who do well in Olympiads, informatics Olympiads or math Olympiads. We take that into consideration. If you had an NTSC scholarship or a KVPY scholarship, we take that into consideration. And if you have any one spike in your life which tells us that you've excelled at some point of time, maybe you just had a bad day, then we make an exception, and we still qualify you in the exam, and we rely on the result of the interviews. Obviously, interviews you still have to give and you have to do well there, but the exam piece we are able to waive off in exceptional cases where you've had this spike.
Yeah. Okay. Hope that clarifies. Guys, who's asking? So there are on the course link, right? So the team had shared a link earlier. Maybe you can pin that as well, or repin that again. So everyone who wants access to that free computer science course, you just need to fill this form up, and the team will be sending it to you. This will be open till midnight today. Now, a lot of people are asking that, sir, I want to start learning coding, right? And how do I go about doing that? Now, not many people know that Scalar offers a lot of free material, free learning resources. So I'll show you exactly how you can access it. Let me know if you can see my screen. Just go to Google, and you need to Google Scalar topics. Okay, and remember the Scalar topics. And once you go there, uh, these are all free courses developed by ex engineers from these top companies, and you can pick up whatever courses that you want. For example, there is Java, JavaScript, DBMS, and you can see that it's also categorized across like data science, software engineering. Uh, if someone is curious about data science, we've got courses from people like Srikant Verma, very famous in data science in India. Software engineering, Pratik Narang, C++. I think some people were talking about it, right? So why don't you like go ahead and take up some of these free things to also understand if this is something that excites you, right? Uh, yeah. So all of this, and you need to select beginner here, so that since you're just starting off, only those kind of courses will be. And by the way, you get a certification when you complete this, right? It's like a 10-hour course, approximately, completely free of cost. Okay. Now, a lot of people also ask us that, hey, how do I prepare for your entrance test, the entrance test for Scalar School of Technology? And there we have on Scalar topics itself, a couple of courses where how to clear the aptitude part, mathematics, learnability, all of that is covered. So you can go through this as well. Okay. All right. I think we've answered most of the questions that we see here, and I hope we've been able to do justice to this session, where we started off by addressing that, hey, what's going to happen in the future in terms of technology? What are the skills that all of these companies need, and therefore how should you approach all of these specializations, etc., etc., and how not to fall for these buzzwords, but rather focus on fundamentals, right? Anshuman, thank you so much for taking the time out for doing this for us. Really appreciate it. Everyone else, thank you so much for tuning in. Really means a lot that you've stayed till the end, and which means you're hungry to learn. So go ahead, do some of the free courses that we were talking about. Yeah, Anshuman, over to you.
Thank you, folks. Thank you. We'll end it now.
Right. Bye-bye.